Diddy recently suffered a nervous breakdown following an attack in prison, with reports suggesting he may be targeted because of the sensitive information he possesses about others. Allegedly, influential figures in Hollywood and the music industry are trying to silence him, fearing the potential revelations he could expose.
According to a report from the Daily Mail, that's why Diddy had a breakdown. A person close to him apparently said, quote, "Spending the holidays behind bars was a nightmare for him." If we're to believe all this, Diddy had a meltdown in his cell and begged the guards to take him to the hospital for observation, but they refused. This same friend or person told the Daily Mail, quote, "He eventually managed to calm himself down with the meditation technique he's been using while he's been behind bars. It took him a few hours of deep breathing and focusing to get out of the bad space he was in, but he finally managed it." This isn't the first time Diddy's mental health has come into question while he's been at MDC. When he first arrived, he was on suicide watch, which the U.S. Department of Justice National Institute of Corrections describes as supervisory precautions taken for suicidal inmates that require frequent observation. Diddy's suicide watch was only temporary, though. He was housed in a special protective unit of the jail after that for the first few weeks of his stay. But Diddy right now is in Gen Pop, meaning general population, the place where majority of the inmates stay. And that's where he apparently had this meltdown over the holidays, at least according to one source.
JAZ. Jennifer Lopez has now been named both as a witness and a co-conspirator in the case against Diddy. A new lawsuit alleges that Lopez played a role in covering up a crime, with the victim claiming she was aware of Diddy's actions. According to the lawsuit, Diddy even showed her tapes of his alleged crimes during their relationship in the late 90s. Once the case goes to trial, Lopez may be called to testify against Diddy, and it remains to be seen what revelations she might disclose.
But going back to Cardella Smith's filing, his notice says that Jennifer Lynn Lopez, aka J-Lo, aka Jenny from the Block, quote, will be called as a material witness and expert to Sean Combs' viewing, possession, and distribution of his sexual assault upon the plaintiff in 1997 and the orders of defendant Sean Combs forcing Jennifer Lopez to remain silent about the videotaped sexual assault of plaintiff by defendant. Plaintiff states that the material witness Jennifer Lynn Lopez, also known as J-Lo and Jenny from the Block, was engaged in a relationship with the defendant Sean Combs during 1999 and 2001, and that the sexual assault of the plaintiff was recorded, distributed, and held by the defendant at his New York residence and recording studio. And during the relationship with Jennifer Lopez, she was made privy to this video that was taken by Sean Combs and his employee Kirk Burroughs. She, J-Lo, has known this video existed and was in existence and took no action to make it known to anyone in law enforcement, and that she was even questioned by New York Police Detective Derek Palmer about this matter, and that the report will show that her answers to this tape was and still remains a resounding yes to its existence. And again, Cardella Smith writes that he wants to call Officer Derek Palmer as a witness because he says Palmer is the one who questioned Lopez and believes that he will have testimony that could help his case. Now, as I mentioned, Diddy's legal team has called for this entire case to be thrown out. Cardella Smith has filed a massive response to that request that totaled more than 200 pages. Probably half of it was just straight up copies of case law that seems to support his arguments, word for word. It's something out of like a legal textbook. There's so much to slog through, but I kind of want to give you some of the highlights. So first, in addition to the claims of rape and a cover-up, Cardella Smith also claims and alleges that Combs was violent towards his loved ones. At times, Cardella Smith addresses alleged threats against his family. Other times, he says Combs actually caused serious injuries to his brother. His response reads, defendant used threats of murder to force the plaintiff to not bring the case to any court of law enforcement until the homes of the defendant were raided by Homeland Security, that the plaintiff knew it was a safe time to bring the case, and that is why we are here at this juncture. And Cardella Smith argued that fear for his own safety and the safety of his family is one of the main reasons that he waited so long to report the alleged rape, and says that that reason alone should override any issue with the statute of limitations, that these claims might otherwise be time barred. And he also argues that while he's been in prison, fellow inmates and prison guards have threatened him on behalf of Sean Combs.
Billionaires and millionaires like Jennifer Lopez, Jay-Z, and Beyoncé, now linked to Diddy, many powerful figures are reportedly growing concerned about the potential fallout from this case. These are the same individuals believed to have played a role in silencing Jeffrey Epstein before his death. Now, rumors are circulating that Diddy may be suicidal. Some are questioning whether it's merely a coincidence that, as other names emerge in connection to Diddy, he suddenly finds himself attacked in prison and allegedly suffering a nervous
That
breakdown.
makes sense. But you knowing Diddy personally, do you think it's possible he might take his life?
It takes a certain individual to prepare himself to do a lot of years in jail. From the lifestyle that he had, I'm not saying that he can't. I just don't see him able to do time behind bars. Maybe if he'd be in a camp type situation, that's a possibility. But based on the lifestyle and what he's done and what he's accomplished, if he had to go behind those bars for a lot of years, I think that he may commit suicide. He'd do an Epstein.
Why do you think he didn't pull a Russell Simmons and leave the country?
They was watching him, bruh. They was watching him. And then I think that he had to turn over his passport. Even if you own your own private jet, they have a system up there whereas that they supposed to check your passport and anything that you need to fly as if you were flying commercial.
Diddy is reportedly aware that his life is at risk in prison, especially if those he was allegedly involved with suspect he might be cooperating with the authorities. In an attempt to secure bail, Diddy's team offered more than $50 million and even surrendered his passport to the court, but the judge denied the request. According to the judge, Diddy has a history of threatening victims, and releasing him could pose a significant danger to the witnesses in the case.
The proposed bail package. A $50 million bond, co-signed by him, his mom, his sister, the mother of his oldest daughter, and his 3 adult sons. It's going to be secured by the equity in his property in Miami, Florida. Home detention, his passport will be surrendered. The government said that's insufficient. They said, look at the charges, look at the weight of the evidence that I just mentioned. They said they have allegations that he and his associates were trying to tamper with witness testimony last year so that they wouldn't cooperate with the government. What do you take away about who has the stronger argument in terms of bail?
Well, I think his counsel has done the best they possibly can. I think bringing him there voluntarily is very smart, starts them out on the right foot. But I think the last thing that you just mentioned, the interfering with witnesses.
That's the allegation, yeah.
Yeah, if that's true, or I should say, if there's real indicia that happened, I think that might tip the scales in favor of not letting him out pending trial, because I think, and you know this, I think judges take an extraordinarily dim view of that, and that might be the factor that tips the scale against him. But I think as far as a tactic, I think it was very smart to do what they did and to say, look, you know, he's here. You didn't have to track him down. He's got a real defense here. He's doing everything right, at least right now. I'm not sure it's going to be enough at the end of the day.
Diddy's attorney, Mark Anapo, stated during a press conference that they will attempt to secure bail again. He also hinted that the jail environment isn't safe for Diddy and suggested he be placed under house arrest. Diddy is allegedly facing serious charges that make him vulnerable in prison, so he has been placed in solitary confinement for his safety, rather than in the general population.
We made a bail appeal to Judge Carter. It did not go our way. The fight continues. We're not giving up by a long shot. I told Mr. Combs I'm going to try and get his case to trial as quickly as possible. I'm going to try and minimize the amount of time he spends in very, very difficult and I believe inhumane housing conditions in the special housing unit of the Metropolitan Detention Facility. And I'm going to do everything that I can to move his case as quickly as possible. I understand that the government has a great amount of electronic devices that they have to download and provide to me, but everything's on the government's timetable, nothing's on the defendant's timetable, and they're going to have to accommodate me and him and give us a quick trial and I'm going to be pushing for that. He's ready. He's focused. He has been ready to defend this case since he first found out about this case. Nothing has changed from his perspective. I obviously would much prefer to fight this case with him out of jail, and we are going to try to bring that about through additional legal process. But wherever he is, his resolve is the same. He believes he's innocent. I believe he's innocent, and we're going to fight this case with all of our might until we don't have to fight any longer.
The story of Sean Diddy Combs is rapidly becoming one of the most shocking sagas in recent celebrity history. Imagine being a world-renowned figure, admired for decades, only to have your life completely upended by accusations so horrifying they leave everyone in disbelief. Diddy's predicament feels like the plot of a Hollywood thriller, except for him, it's real life, unfolding under the relentless glare of public scrutiny.
The prosecutor presented that the judge was going to allow him to be bonded out on the first get-go. Now, if he comes up with some more hearings, he might be released. But based on the evidence, they've been following him, bro. They've been tapping his phone, been having people watch him. You understand? He been coming back and forth from New York, and he don't usually be coming back to New York. And somebody was telling me that, yo, listen here, yo, he trying to get witnesses. Remember when they released that first thing of Cassie, and I said that Diddy was trying to contact people for character witnesses, people for who he had problems with before, whatever like that, and trying to talk to them in the whole 9 yards. That's when they dropped that thing with Cassie. The Homeland Security had some agency or whatever like that that deals with that, dropped that thing on Cassie to show everybody, oh, y'all want to help him? Y'all, this is what y'all want to help? This is who y'all want to, say that he ain't never did nothing. This is what you want to put your brand on? And everybody started backing up from it. Everybody was talking about, yo, man, Cassie was a gold digger. Cassie was this, that, and the third. She loved it in the whole 9 yards. And then when they seen that, all his friends or so-called friends, went away. So him not having a bond is not surprising.
Yeah, and he offered them $50 million, and they still denied his bond.
He should have waited to see what they was gonna offer. Because if he got $50 million to get him and offer that, then they think like, yo, that's too little of a money.
Over the past 6 months, Diddy has been embroiled in court battles that feel straight out of a crime thriller. His recent outburst in court has become a hot topic, with the reasons behind his frustration painting a picture of desperation, power, and downfall. It's a narrative that leaves you questioning how someone once so influential could find themselves in such peril. More than 20 years later, Diddy has decided to appear in multiple Marble videos to demonstrate that he's no longer his old habit of making games of it.
He might get bail. Now you're wondering why I'm saying that. See, they are trying to use some of the things that happen to criminals all the time, or inmates all the time. They always, brother, they always do those impromptu searches. And in one of the cases, in this particular case, they said that when they did the impromptu search, well, they took some of his legal information, and the judge ordered them to give that back. So I guess the lawyers are going to come up with a couple of new things saying that he can't properly, have his case be properly, what do you call it when they client get they client and lawyer privileges. He can't properly do his case with, you understand, with them constantly going in the jail cells, searching him, taking his legal briefs, taking his information, and then probably using it against him. But I don't believe none of that to be true. I believe that they went in there, just like they do all the other inmates based on the information they have. You got to realize this, bro. They found out that Diddy was using other inmates' phone cards. Now that probably happens all the time. You understand? And he got to be probably the smartest, dumbest person that I know, because he got to know that those phone calls are being taped. So whatever his lawyers and them come up with, the prosecution's gonna come up with something else. So the judge is gonna wanna know, well, what did they do, you know, when they found out he was in violation of some of this stuff that he was doing? Did they charge him with something new? Did they take some of his privileges away? What has happened in the interim of him doing this stuff that they alleged that he done? So it's gonna be a whole forestry of next week, because what they did was they held off whatever the procedures was gonna go down today. The judge say he gonna revisit this next week. So I guess, I don't know if it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll find out what's going on, but it's gonna be something that I think it may shock the world.
Let's rewind to the early 2000s, when Diddy faced accusations of organizing drug-fueled parties, manipulating individuals, and allegedly using bribes and threats to silence witnesses. Since his arrest in September 2024, Diddy has been seeking bail. He faces serious charges, including sex trafficking and racketeering. Prosecutors allege that he not only committed these crimes, but also built an empire around them.
They'd bring in these people. A lot of these people were also aspiring young artists in the music industry. And then these parties were sponsored by Motown Records CEO, Universal Records CEO. This goes all the way to the top. And so you get these people in compromising situations. The drinks were laced, the videotapes were hot. And then at the end of the day, you wake up the next morning, what did I do? And then they have compromising material on you. And then they can guide your career. They could kill your career, but they got you. And it wasn't just people in the music business. As you said, there were athletes, there were celebrities, there were politicians, people from the royal family. And we were also told by the former bodyguard that Diddy was an FBI informant. Whoa. So he was a snitch and was feeding information to the feds. And we don't know what that means. We haven't been able to confirm it, but even Little Rod said it's not just like Epstein. It could be worse than Jeffrey Epstein.